Welcome to Safari with Elpida, where we use the art of storytelling to spread hope by building, educating, empowering, training, and healing. Welcome back to Safari with Elpida, where we use the art of storytelling to empower, to build, to educate, and to provide safe spaces for healing. And today I'm so excited to be presenting our guest to you guys. She's a close friend of mine. And hi, Taylor. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well, thanks. I want to give you the honor of presenting yourself to our audiences. So do you mind presenting yourself to us?
Sure. My name is Taylor Fogg. I'm 27 years old. I am the current Miss New Hampshire USA. And in my regular life, I am currently a law student, a competitive triathlete, and I also have my own nonprofit organization called P.E.D.I.
Oh, wow. That's a lot. You sound very busy. And I think maybe I'm going to try to break it down for everyone so that we kind of get to know a bit more of each part that you spoke on. So when did you start pageantry? What got you into pageantry?
I started after college, which is relatively late in the game. Interestingly, I was moving out of my college apartment or my college dorm, and my family was in town, and so we were watching Miss USA on TV or scrolling through the channels, and I was like, okay, let's watch this. And my brother made a bet with me, and he's like, I bet you could do that, but you won't.
Oh.
And I'm always one for a challenge. And I was like, all right, let's do this. And so I signed up for a Miss USA state pageant the following fall. And ended up competing, kind of went in with like every stigma that is so often associated with it. And it challenged everything I knew. I saw how this was a really great opportunity for personal growth and how I really enjoyed being around the other women. I found them to be inspiring in their own ways and saw myself reflected in each of them. So I really wanted to continue the growth and the journey and see where it took me.
Yeah. And I know that this journey was probably not an easy one. I know there are some people who have those success stories where they came the first time and they win immediately. But you've been in it and at it for a while. And I guess I want to kind of talk about it a bit. What kind of kept you motivated? Why did you keep coming back and saying, hey, you know what? I think I still want to go for this job. Because ultimately, when you're participating in a pageant, you're like, hey, I believe I can be a queen and I believe I can bring this to the table. And sometimes people, when they don't make it, it's like, oh, I didn't make it. Let me move on to something else. But you're like, okay, I didn't make it, but I'm going to come back. So what motivated you to come back? What kept bringing you back all the time?
For me, it was more than anything the skills that I was learning throughout the process. So when I first started, I'm always introverted by nature, but I was even more so. So I was not necessarily the person who was willing to step out of my comfort zone and speak to somebody else. I had qualities inside of me that I knew were well suited for the job, but I still saw opportunities for a lot of personal growth. And that's what kept me coming back. So each year I can see measurable instances of how I grew as a person, whether that was developing my interview skills, whether it was how I present myself to others, and also how I connect with other people. And they've translated directly into my future career. So that's really what it came down to. And the cherry on top is that I've met some incredible women along the way, some incredible sponsors along the way as well, that helped push me to grow in other aspects as well. And I'm grateful for those relationships, like with you.
Yeah.
And it's been really special. So I know that I wouldn't be the person that I am today without this journey, because I'm a very different person now than I was 4 years ago when I started.
And I know that you participated in these pageants, and I guess when you're told probably they announce the winners and everything, and you realize, oh, okay, I wasn't picked. Can we maybe walk through a bit of how you've dealt with it emotionally? Because you kind of get in with your hopes high and your confidence and saying, I've got a chance at this, and then you don't make it. How did you deal with it emotionally? What emotions were you feeling, or what was going on in your head when those would happen, when those disappointments would happen? That's if you see them as disappointments, when you didn't make it.
So looking back on them, every single time I've realized that if I wasn't probably ready at that exact moment. So even though it's disappointing if you don't take away a win and you believe in your heart that you are worthy, yeah, that is something that's disappointing. But it also taught me that there's still more growth that can be done. I have a whole nother year to work on myself. So another aspect is growing up as an athlete, and particularly in a sport where it's you against the clock. It's not you. It's not coaches picking who's going to play on the court at a given time. That kind of was helpful because rather than thinking, oh, it's me against other people, it was really me against myself. And I also realized that pageantry is pretty subjective. It is subject to who the judges are on a particular day, on a particular weekend. And there's so many invariable factors that can come into play. There is luck involved, frankly. And so that also helped rationalize it. Losing doesn't speak to my self-worth. It just is, maybe on another day it would have been my day. It just wasn't that day. And I was lucky in that one day it was my day.
Mm-hmm. And I think I love how you say that losing doesn't speak into your self-worth, which is very important. I think sometimes when we do certain things, you kind of tie it to your self-worth and say, if I don't succeed at this, then I am a failure probably because I didn't succeed at that. So that's a really great way of looking at it. And I think something we can all take away from this conversation. And how did you start preparing now for Miss New Hampshire? I know that when we spoke, you were kind of giving me a little updates. I'm like, oh, okay, you're gonna do this, and I was excited. So, can you give us a little peek into how you prepared for this big adventure you're journeying into?
Sure. So, for people who don't know, within the Miss USA organization, contestants compete in an interview swimsuit and evening gown, and so that's kind of where my energy was focused when I was preparing. With regard to fitness and like preparing for swimsuit, because I was an athlete, I didn't really have to do anything extra other than what I was already doing. So I am the type of person who works out every day, who focuses on my health, and that allows me to feel confident on stage. And ultimately, that's what it's about. It's less about what you look like; it is much more about feeling your best and showcasing that. So I practice walking because even though we've all been doing it since we were like 1 or 2. We do have to practice walking because your expressions and your movements have to be a little bit more exaggerated on stage. So I definitely practice walking in heels specifically because that's not necessarily something that we do every day. So I do that, and then practice learning how to do makeup. So I connected with Victoria Duke Beauty, who's actually my current sponsor, ahead of the Miss New Hampshire USA pageant, and she taught me how to, she gave me some great products and taught me how to do a look that would be great for stage. That was super helpful because at New Hampshire, the contestants do have to do their own makeup and hair. So that was special. And then I had actually already had a gown picked out and some wardrobe items that I already owned. So that wasn't too much of a stressor because COVID happened. So I had already purchased a gown and I was just holding on to it until I knew I was going to compete again. So that was great. And then down to the interview, I work with PR pageant coaches who are also my Miss New Hampshire USA sponsor, and they're fantastic. I work specifically with Gabby Tavares. She's a former Miss Massachusetts, and she helped me with my interview prep all through this entire process. So leading into Miss New Hampshire USA, and then following in preparation for Miss USA. And then I also worked with Carlos Morales, and he's also fantastic. I think when it comes to interview, it's really helpful to get different perspectives because you ultimately want to showcase yourself and what feels most natural to you. So getting different perspectives and different types of feedback is really helpful. Just don't do too much so that you don't get confused.
Yeah. And I hear you mentioning a lot of people who helped you on your journey. And I just want to sidetrack a bit from my next question, just to ask, if somebody maybe is watching you right now and they're like, oh, you know what, I don't think I have the finances to kind of get professional help. Do you think a person still has a shot of winning, even if they don't have all these professional people that they can pay to help them get ready? Can they still get ready on their own for a big prep, a big pageant, sorry?
Absolutely. So, in particular, when I was preparing for Miss New Hampshire USA, I only reached out to the people that I vetted as coaches like 2 times, and 2 times maybe. So, it was pretty minimal. Most of the work that I was doing was on my own. So, once I learned how to do my makeup, I'm practicing it on my own. That's not somebody else doing it for me or teaching it to me. When it comes to interview, I basically did, I'm pretty sure it was 2. I just did 2 sessions with Gabby leading in the Miss New Hampshire USA on just learning on how to package what I wanted to say, because I already knew these are the things that are important to me. These are the things I want to showcase about myself and why I'm well suited for the job. It's just helpful to go run it by another person, but that other person doesn't necessarily need to be somebody who's in the pageantry industry. Remember, a lot of states, a lot of pageant systems, they don't always recruit judges who are involved in pageantry. They recruit people who are, local. They might just be someone who's local to New Hampshire, who, the director was able to secure for that weekend, or whichever state. So a lot of judges are complete novices. And at the end of the day, when you are a title holder, you're not speaking to people in the pageantry community, you're speaking to people in their regular community. So it is actually really helpful if you have people in your community and your personal support system who you feel comfortable speaking to and saying, hey, how does this sound? Hey, these are the 3 or 4 or 5 things that I want to talk about in my interview for this upcoming competition or this upcoming job. What do you think about them? Does it make sense the way I'm saying it? Do you feel like you have a sense of who I am when I'm speaking to you? I think that's a really key part. You definitely can. In my pageant preparation, I was definitely the ball on the budget kind of girl.
Yes.
All of my evening gowns I got on sale. I never went above and beyond. That being said, if somebody does have the resources to financially invest in their preparation, I would say invest that money into the coaching, because again, this is about self growth. This is not about how sparkly and pretty your gown is. It's about who you are as a person.
Ooh, I love that. I love how you said it's about self growth. And if you're going to invest in anything, invest in something that would still help you grow. Because even if you don't win, at least you've learned a lot from the coaching sessions that you've invested in. That's really great. And so you went ahead to win the competition and the title. And I have a lot of questions that I want you to break down. How did you feel when you were on that stage, when they finally announced that you're the one who's going to win? You're the winner. How did you feel? What was going through your head?
Shock. I was definitely not expecting it whatsoever. I felt confident in how I presented myself the entire weekend. I felt confident in the onstage question that I gave. I was proud of my performance, but again, at the end of the day, like I had previously been top 5 in a pageant, but I had never been like in that top 2 and have like, that iconic moment where there's like the 2 people looking at each other. So just to get to that moment was super exciting for me. And yeah, I was definitely in shock, super excited, very grateful. I think like if you watch back my video, it's like, I'm like shaking and I have my hand over my mouth the entire time because I just like can't believe it. And then the other thing I'm doing is just like saying thank you to the judges. Like, thank you so much.
And how has the journey been ever since then? Can you tell us a bit of how your life changed, I guess, ever since you got crowned?
It's been awesome. So I'm still balancing being in law school and, competing in marathons and that sort of thing. So in some ways, my life hasn't changed all that much, but in other ways, I have this amazing opportunity to reach out to the community in New Hampshire and also throughout the country, and really serve other people, and have a larger voice and a larger platform and inform the public about the amazing work that many different organizations are doing. And that's been super special. I've met amazing people on the way. I've heard some incredible stories, and it really highlights that there's power in the sash and crown. I kind of liken it to owning a dog. When you walk down the street, you typically, a lot of people don't just say, hey, to like their random passerby. But when you have a dog with you, people are more likely to say either, oh, look, there's a dog, or they will come up to you and say, your dog's so cute. Tell me all about your dog.
Yes.
So when you're wearing a sash or wearing a sash and crown, people act the same way. They'll either be like, oh, hey, there's Miss New Hampshire, or they will come up to you and they'll either start asking you about like, oh, what's it like? Or they will start sharing with you. And I think that's the really impactful part, because I'm always somebody who likes to listen to what other people have to say. And I've heard some amazing stories, and people are that much more willing to open up to you just because you're wearing a sparkly hat. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And as you've been talking, I'm also just thinking, you said that it's opened so many doors and so many opportunities. And I think that's kind of the direction I want to head for both of us. Can you tell us a bit more about your organization? I know you have an organization. Can you tell us what it's all about, what you guys do, and why did you start one?
Oh, for P.E.D.I, yes. So I
Yes.
started P.E.D.I, which stands for Providing Empowerment to Disadvantaged Individuals. And basically, the main goal of P.E.D.I is to provide environmentally and economically sustainable resources to disadvantaged groups. And it's a very special thing. So one of my project goals is to build hydroponic and aquaponic units for women and children who are getting out of shelters, and maybe other people who might not be experiencing food security. I want to give people a healthier way to sustain themselves in the future. So it's pretty special, and I'm excited for it to continue to grow. Fundraising has definitely been a challenge. There's so many different organizations out there that are worthy of our support. So that's something that I'm continuing to work on right now. But I'm excited to see how it grows in the future. No pun intended with the growing food.
And what other opportunities have you been opened up to? Can you maybe speak to us about some initiatives you've done with your new title and the new platform that you have?
So a lot of the work that I do is with various organizations within New Hampshire. I work with Best Buddies a lot, so I actually have my own best buddy. Her name is Taylor, and our birthdays are actually
name.
a week before, and we have week within each other's, and we have the same name, so that's really funny. And she's a sweetheart, and she's really opened my mind to what it's like to live with a developmental disability. But she is so funny and so talented, and it has been a joy getting to know her. And also working with Best Buddies more broadly. So I'll actually be continuing to work with them throughout the years to come. After I give up my title as Miss New Hampshire USA. Another experience that's been really special and was like a highlight of my athletic career was guiding a visually impaired athlete at the Boston Marathon through Team with a Vision. This is something that I actually planned on doing despite regardless of whether or not I had the Miss New Hampshire USA title, but it was something that was even more special because I had it, because I was able to inform other people about it. And I had so many people come up to me after or message me after saying like, just the thing that I posted online about my athlete, his name is Dan, brought tears to their eyes, and they just never really thought like, oh wow, without people who are willing to guide or fundraising, people who have visual impairments don't have the opportunities to do some of the things that they love. I know from my perspective, like triathlon and running and athletics has played such a major role in my life that I want to make sure that other people are afforded those same opportunities if they want them. So it was a really beautiful full circle moment for me. I had the most amazing athlete that I ran with. His name's Dan, and he actually has his own nonprofit organization that is
Mm-hmm.
provides scholarships to visually impaired students,
Wow.
so that they can go to school. So just being able to see the power of the platform through those experiences,
Mm-hmm.
even if they were something that I wanted to do anyways, that's been something that's pretty special for me too.
Yeah, and I want to sidetrack again because you keep bringing so many interesting things about your life. I'm like, can we have her for like 2 hours, 3 hours, or more? I just want us to talk a bit about your athletics. When did you start? When did you start that journey, or what got you into athletics?
So I started competing in triathlons when I was 10 years old. I started because I had watched the Ironman special on TV, and thought that it was the coolest thing ever. I told my family, like, I want to do that someday, which is, kind of crazy for an 8-year-old to say that they want to do like this 140-mile long race. But here we are. So I continued with triathlon uh, through middle high school, and then into college a little bit. And when I was in college, I was introduced to the Ironman distance. So the lifelong dream of competing at the Ironman World Championships in Kona, Hawaii, was achieved when I was in college, and I was able to, or right after college actually,
Mm-hmm.
and was super ecstatic to cross that finish line. I didn't quite have the race that I wanted, but I was very emotional at the end because it was a very full circle moment in which I reflected on this journey. I thought back to like the 8-year-old girl who made a promise to herself and was I just had enormous pride in that moment, in that you made a promise to yourself and you fulfilled it, and
Yeah.
that's something that's really special.
I'm literally having goosebumps as you're talking about it. Just thinking about, hey, you were little and you said you're gonna do this, and finally having it. Like just how you must have felt in my head. I'm just like, oh, that must have been amazing. And I want us to kind of move to also what you do. You said you study law, and I want people to kind of get to know every aspect of you because I think when we talk about beauty queens, they kind of limit beauty queens into some weird box of just beauty and that's it. And that's why I'm trying to draw onto everything that you are because I believe you do so much. And so, can you tell us why you decided to study law and
Yes.
what kind of law
So
are you studying?
so I'm not specializing in any one area right now, but we will see. We will see where I get a job. Is ultimately what it comes down to. But I started being interested in practicing law because I originally wanted to be a doctor. Fun fact. So I had wanted to be a pediatrician for my whole life, and then during college, shadowed at a hospital, and I noticed that there were some pretty severe inequities in the healthcare system,
Mm-hmm.
particularly at the hospital that I was working at. And I knew that um, if those inequities existed there, that they probably also existed elsewhere as well. And that despite my passion for science and for helping others, that my skill set, my tendency towards advocacy would be better suited for a career in law, and to change rather than changing uh, small lives on the day by administering medicine, and being that person. I thought that I could make a larger impact by changing the policies that affected every single one of us. And
Wow.
so that's what really drove the decision to end up taking the LSAT and attend law school.
Mm-hmm. And how has that been for you? Just studying law, how has the experience been for you?
Very rigorous, very rigorous. If anybody knows a law student or a lawyer in their life, they know it's a lot. It's a lot. Um, but I'm grateful for it. I find it academically challenging and motivating at the same time. I really
Mm-hmm.
enjoy my professors and the faculty, and the content of what I'm learning.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to, starting to specialize a little bit more in what I'm learning, so that I can, be prepared prepared for the career as well.
Yeah. And you're talking about specialization. Do you maybe have any idea of where you would be leaning into? Maybe 2, 3 ideas out there?
I'm really interested in public health policy and environmental policy. I could definitely see myself taking on positions in either of those areas. But at the end of the day, I think most people coming out of their third year know that they will take a job wherever they can get and then see how their career evolves. Long term, I'd love to be a judge, but that is
Mm-hmm.
like a 20-year from now me goal.
Oh, okay. We have a 20-year goal out there. Spread it out, say it out. Hopefully 20 years from now you can sit down and like have a full circle moment. Say, I did say that one day and I'm here.
Right, exactly. We had the athletic one first. Now we're gonna have the career one.
Yeah, and I don't know, I just really love your story, and I feel like I didn't have a first hand at everything that happened, but just the little parts that I was a part of for me was just very inspiring, knowing that you've been at this for so many years and seeing how you were able to kind of say, no, I'm going to prepare and I'm going to go for this one more time, and seeing the victory for me was just amazing. And us talking about you as well going to Miss USA, such a big platform. For me, it was like, oh my goodness, I felt like I was living the dream with you. Can you walk us through how the whole experience was going to Miss USA, preparing for Miss USA, and actually being there for the few weeks that you were there?
Yeah, so preparing was definitely a beast. Again, in many ways, I didn't have to change my lifestyle all that much because I had already been the person who was very active. And so
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't a major stressor for me. But I definitely stepped up the game with regard to my interview preparation. And then I had these added components of you're designing a custom wardrobe, like what I was wearing on stage and that sort of thing. And for my interview and, you know, practicing weekly with interview rather than, taking it on my own pace. Um, and then also the mental prep that goes in. I mentioned previously that this is a lot about self growth. And as a title holder, there are times where you do have more stressors just because there's pressure to perform. You have
Mm-hmm.
to, be on social media and potentially be subject to a lot of criticism. You have a lot of eyes on you. So it was really helpful. She's now my good friend, Stephanie Back. She's also with PR Pageant Coaches. To have somebody who helps you with your mindset moving through the process is something that's very, very valuable. So I would encourage anyone preparing for any major life event, whether it's somebody who's a professional or just a friend or a mentor that they can turn to. That's something that's super important, just to have
Mm-hmm.
that person that's in your corner that can check in with you and have the real conversation.
Yes.
Because some people think it's a lot of glitz and glam, which it is, and I'm super grateful for that, but it's also checking in and staying true to who you are on the day to day as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I'm grateful for the whole team of people who helped me prepare, whether it's the beauty sponsors within New Hampshire who helped with like skin and spray tan and my hair, to Brittany's Boutique and Fernando Long, who helped me with my designs for my on stage and interview wardrobe at Miss USA, to the whole PR Pageant Coaches team of preparing me for interview and beyond, really. And then my fitness, we have a studio called the Collective Studios back in New Hampshire, that
Mm-hmm.
are incredible. And they were really there with me day in and day out, early morning, hair in a bun,
Mm-hmm.
no makeup, like a be day to day work
Mm-hmm.
with the exercise and so forth. And really being around a supportive community of women who I knew was behind me as I stepped onto the Miss USA stage. So there's a whole village that helped with the journey, and beyond that, the experience itself, and particularly the friendships that I've taken away from it, were really, really special.
Yeah. And what was one exciting, if I could, I mean, you must have had a lot, but give us one exciting moment about this journey to the Miss USA stage.
Oh, gosh, there's too many.
Yeah. Okay, 1 or 2, 3, if you want.
So one thing that was a major highlight was this year, for the first time ever, I think, we had the opportunity to have a title holder retreat in Cancun. And that's something that's really special that the Miss USA organization put together for us. And what I loved about it is that rather than go into Miss USA thinking, oh, all these people are competing against me and like I need to learn all the names of these people that I haven't met before, when we
Mm,
actually went into Miss USA, it felt like we were just having another like fun weekend with our friends because we knew everyone already. And that
yeah.
was really special. And that's something that Cancun gave us. And I, you know, obviously there's only 1 in 51 girls that gets to take away that title. And so you have less than a 2% chance of winning the thing. And it's really, really hard to even make the top 15 against, again, there's a lot of subjectivity. Everybody's an incredible person. So, really, for me, there was no expectations to perform at a certain level. But the greatest thing that I gained out of it was the friendships, whether it was the girls who are within my own production company, GDV Pageant Productions. And we work with New Hampshire and Vermont, and the Vermont girls are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And my roommate, Miss New Jersey USA, Linda Ortega, she's actually giving up her title this weekend. She is an incredible person. And so she was my roommate at Cancun and at Miss USA. And we just really connected on a pretty deep level. She and I see eye to eye on so many different things. And she's such a sweet and genuine person. Like I know that friendships like hers and with other contestants that I met are going to be ones that are lasting. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm really grateful for that because if you don't take anything else away, like the connections that you make are really what matters.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking right now as we're drawing nearer to the end, if somebody's probably watching us right now and they're like, you know what, I want to get into pageantry, or I've been doing this for a while and probably things are not going my way or as I hope they would. What word of advice would you give such a person who's thinking of journeying into pageantry or who's been into pageantry already and thinking of giving up?
So a quote that I've been in the process of writing my like farewell letter
Mm-hmm.
for like our program book and the quintessential like speech that you do at the end of the pageant. So in my letter I actually talk about a quote that I live by, and it is, where there is an open mind there will always be a frontier. And that's kind of what started my journey in pageantry to begin with. But it's also the thing that I kind of wake up each morning and think to myself. And it speaks to, okay, being open to new opportunities, but also being open to new people and experiences in general. And I would encourage anyone to, especially if they're stuck in a place where they don't feel like they've been open to as many new opportunities, or maybe they see more opportunity for growth in the future, that they tap into that open mindedness, because I think it's something that's super special, and also is something that enables us to reach beyond ourselves and into our community and to learn from others as well. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a pretty all encompassing mindset. And I'm grateful that I was even exposed to that that quote
Yeah.
and that mindset in the first place, because it's definitely a pretty driving force for me.
Mm-hmm. And you have a few weeks left before
Mhm.
you crown the next Miss New Hampshire. And I'm just thinking in my head, what would you have done differently with your reign? For me, you've had an amazing reign. I've loved to see the growth. Even just speaking to you right now, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a different Taylor. But looking back at your reign, what do you think you would have done differently?
I really wouldn't change anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of the year that I had. I think I have struck a really solid balance. I prepared and I put all the effort that was reasonable and that I could into preparing for Miss USA. I tried to reach out to as many organizations as possible and really made myself accessible to the New Hampshire community. And that was something that was a major priority. Like the day I was crowned, it's like my mission is to serve New Hampshire this year, and I've logged a lot of volunteer hours. A lot of volunteer hours. Actually, I have to update my spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet on it, and a lot of miles. to represent the state to the best of my ability, and balancing that with, athletics or with law school. I feel like I've been able to do it. If I had a few more financial resources, I would have loved to made a few more trips back to New Hampshire this semester, just to volunteer and give back even more. But that being said, I've been able to do so remotely and really put the effort that I needed to in. So I'm grateful just for the opportunity, and I hope that the next title holder is able to lean into it as much as she can and feel the same amount of growth, because it will invariably come. It truly is a once in a lifetime experience, and we have the most incredible support system in New Hampshire. And I'm grateful for my director, Glenn. He's always there. Like, I sent him text, he responds to me within 5 minutes, and is always accessible. And I'm grateful for him. It wouldn't be the same journey without him.
And you have a few weeks. With these few weeks that we have left, what do you think you want to do before you give that crown away? Last picture, maybe eat pizza with the crown and the sash, volunteer somewhere. Anything crazy?
I'm eating pizza with and without the crown and sash. That's always happening. So no, so I guess a couple things that I have that are exciting coming down the pipe. I'm giving up the title in the middle of my law school finals, so that's fun. It'll be a little bit chaotic, but a little bit fun too, because it's special in that I already am working towards the next chapter of my life. So I am excited in some sense to give up the crown and to afford to be the person who is like passing off this opportunity to the next person, because it's been meaningful for me, and I know that it's given me so much, and so I'm excited for somebody new to have that opportunity too. I'll be competing in the Boston Marathon again, and in a couple of weeks, and that's special because it's actually the 50th anniversary since women were allowed to compete at the Boston Marathon.
Wow.
So that's a pretty special moment, because the women who were the first to compete are people that I look up to, and I don't think that I would have some of the opportunities that I had or have had without women like that, who are willing to break molds and kind of push the envelope. So I'm excited about that, and to have kind of that moment of reflection too.
And what advice would you give probably prospective candidates? I think they already started their journey. If I'm not mistaken, you guys are having your finals next month, right? May, somewhere there.
Yeah, May 1st.
And if they're watching you right now, what would you tell them, prospective candidates who are vying for this crown, this job that you have?
The first thing, I believe there's a Oscar Wilde quote that says something to the effect of "Be yourself because everybody else is taken," and that's the biggest takeaway. I think a lot of people think that with pageantry or with this industry in general, you have to conform to a certain ideal, and that's just simply not it. There's people that you can emulate. You can see like, oh, this is a Miss Universe, and I really love the way that she carried herself. But at the end of the day, you are your own person, and the judges are not given a formula. We want somebody who looks a certain way, who has a certain career path, who does X, Y, and Z. They are just looking for who is a fit for the job, and that can look like so many different things. So really knowing yourself, tapping into what you know about yourself, and just communicating that you have confidence in your abilities to have this role. And even if you didn't have this role, that you would have confidence in who you are as an individual, and that you can walk through life acting as a queen regardless of whether or not you have a sparkly hat. That's really what's important about this, because at the end of the day, there's one person who takes away the crown in a given year, but every single person who has the courage to walk on that stage is a really, really special person. And so continuing with that, and even after you stop competing, continuing with that confidence in being who you are, it'll help tremendously in the future.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, I will ask, what would you tell your next successor? What advice would you give her, or what would you want to leave, if I should say?
Buckle up, enjoy the process, stay true to yourself, dream big, have faith in yourself. It's, she's going to have an amazing support system. I'll be there. I will be a text or a phone call away. I really want to make sure that it's also, if like there's other people who who are in the industry who are curious, just like DM me on Instagram. Like we'll be friends.
Yeah.
I'm always happy to talk about this sort of thing. A lot of the contestants this year have reached out to me via phone or whatnot, and they'll say, "Hey, what do you think about this or that?" And everything's confidential. I don't tell people what other people's dresses look like, or any of that stuff. I just want everybody to have peace of mind going into the competition, so that they can put their best foot forward and be the best version of themselves. So.
Mm-hmm. And as you open that floor saying, "Hey, you guys can approach me. She doesn't bite, guys." How can they approach you? How can people keep in touch with you?
Sure. So if people are curious, a great email, it's something that I'll hold on to after I give up my reign, is Miss NH USA 2021 @gmail.com. And that's probably the best way, and usually an email first, because I'm old.
A nice old soul in you, a very kind, genuine old soul in you. So I love it. And so we've come to the end of our session, but before we end, I want to kind of play this or that little game with you. We just have like 5 questions, and hope you'll have fun, and hopefully it allows people to get to know you a bit more as well.
Sure. Sounds good.
All right. So the first one would be dresses or pants?
Pants. Although flagging, I love jumpsuits. So that's my alternative options. I'm like a jumpsuit queen.
Oh, okay.
And big fan. So.
Fame or wealth?
Wealth.
Outdoors or indoors?
Outdoors.
So I have heels, sneakers, or flats?
Sneakers, probably. It's the athlete in me.
And the last one would be music or books?
Ooh. Depends on the book. I get a lot of those with school, so I might trend towards music just because I have, it's a little refresh from what the day-to-day looks like.
All right, that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for stopping by, Taylor. We're so honored. I am so happy I got to chat with you, and I got to present you to our audiences. I think we have a lot to take from what you've said. And I just want to encourage everybody to please like, subscribe, comment, share this video. And this is all we have for you guys today. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you.